Marvin Harrison Jr. had a wild week 4 performance. We'll tell you if we feel better or worse about him next.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is Michael Fabiano. And on today's show, we're going to tell you the players that you need to be starting and sitting in week 4. Plus, we're going to talk about that Cardinal Seahawks game on Thursday Night Football. And I want to start with Marvin Harrison Jr. because if you didn't watch Thursday Night Football and you had Marvin Harrison Jr. on your fantasy team, your dynasty team, you're waking up this morning feeling pretty good. 6 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. That's 18 points in PPR leagues. But Fabs, if you watch the game like you and I did, I think you have a much different opinion about Marvin Harrison Jr. this morning.
Well, I was very happy that NFL games are 4 quarters and not just 2 because what was the thing that we were concerned about with Marvin Harrison Jr. after what he had done last week in terms of drop passes? Well, we don't want to see that again. And what did we see last night? He dropped the pass that ended up being an interception, and it was like the world was just falling. And you're like, you got to be kidding me. Like, why can't you catch a ball? And then in the second half, due to the game script, which meant Arizona had to throw the ball because they were down, he made up for it. And that catch that he made on the left side of the end zone for a touchdown over the defender definitely made me feel better. And the stat line, obviously, at the end of the day, makes you feel better. The 10 targets makes you feel better. I need to see this on a consistent basis, though. I don't want a wide receiver who was drafted probably in the top 2 or 3 in rookie drafts last year to be giving me 15 points one week, 5 points the next, 6 points the next, 18 the next. Like, I want to see some consistency. And I do hope that maybe this is the start of that. It was a positive, the end result, but he did still drop a pass that he should have caught. So at the end of the day, like you said, you're happy with the 18 points. But it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns in that game last night for him.
No, and there was a play, I believe it was on the second drive of the game. Actually, let me back up. First play of the game, the Cardinals run a wide receiver screen to Marvin Harrison Jr. just to get him an early touch. And I think it goes for 8 yards, and it's a good start. And then the next target he gets is over the middle of the field, and he kind of stops on a route. And I think that Kyler Murray would have overthrown him anyways, but it ended up being an interception. Luckily, Arizona got the ball back. And I don't believe he caught another pass in this game until into the fourth quarter. You mentioned the drop that he had in the second quarter that just clanked off his hands into a Seattle defensive back. It was rough. And I think my opinion coming out of the game is I think he's going to be okay because what he did in that fourth quarter, you can see like he's such a special talent, but he's clearly in his own head right now. And it's not like some of these other receivers who are being drafted inside the top 15 where they are the focal point of the offense and they really can't function without getting that guy the football. That's not the case for Arizona. They've got other weapons and they've got Trey McBride who they can feed a bunch of targets to. And Kyler can use his legs and usually they can run the ball well. I think he's going to be fine, but I'm actually a little bit more worried about his long-term outlook here in Arizona.
Yeah, the consistency is what is an issue for me. And, the fact that a lot of folks out there, maybe most of us, had him ranked ahead of Malik Nabers, and we were hoping that that's what he would be. Ultimately, what Malik Nabers has become, which is an elite fantasy wide receiver. And Marvin Harrison Jr. has a long way to go and a lot of work to do before he reaches that level.
By the way, did you see what Malik Nabers said about the quarterback change this week?
I did not.
Basically, one of them is going to find a way to get number 1 the ball.
I will promise you this. Jackson Dart's going to target Malik Nabers a lot.
I think so too.
A lot. So from that respect, it's a good thing for Malik Nabers. But yeah, going back to Marvin Harrison Jr., I felt bad for him. I agree with you in that it felt like he was kind of in his own head. These passes, I could catch these passes. All right.
Well, even on his touchdown that he scored, like he he kind of went right down to one knee. I mean, he and even on the sideline, he just seemed emotional. I don't know if something's going on or if he's just lacking confidence, but this isn't the confident player that we saw at Ohio State. Something clearly is happening here.
Yeah. Another thing that I noticed in that game last night, besides those awful uniforms that the Cardinals were wearing, which were just
that's a bad take. I love those uniforms. They're great.
Sand colored red.
The full uniforms.
Those are
great.
Awful. Oh, they were gross. Anyways, you know what was also gross? The Cardinals' offensive line, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyler was running for his life last night. That's not good.
Well, and honestly, I wonder. I don't think that's an Arizona thing. I think that's a Seattle thing. I think Seattle's defense is really good. That's something that we need to remember, kind of going forward. Even in this game, I mean, Arizona scored 20 points, and a lot of them came in the fourth quarter. I think Seattle's just going to do this to a lot of teams with how good that pass rush is. But I wanted to talk about Trey Benson here, who got the start with James Conner out for the year. 8 carries for 35 yards. Longest was 12 yards. Did catch 5 passes for 19 yards on 5 targets. He basically got the James Conner role, but he didn't get the James Conner and Trey Benson role that I think a lot of people are anticipating. 13 total touches, not great.
No, it was not a good performance from a fantasy standpoint and from a real football standpoint. And what concerns me even more is that Amari DeMarcado was a part of this backfield. In fact, he was the clear lead back in the 2-minute drill. Yeah. Benson wasn't on the field at the end of the game. It was all DeMarcado who ended up scoring a touchdown on a catch, and he actually had 10 points. Benson had 10 points. So this has me a little bit concerned. 13 touches is not going to cut it. James Conner was a guy who's touching the ball 18 times. And this was Benson played 37 snaps. DeMarcado played 26. Is this what we're going to see? Is this going to be a backfield committee? Because if it is, that to me is a little bit problematic and maybe isn't going to instill the confidence in making Trey Benson a week in and week out starter in fantasy leagues, at least when we don't have the buys. I was not impressed. I mean, good pass catcher, the 5 catches, yes, sign me up for that. But he did nothing on the ground. And you know what, too, Marcus? He didn't look special at all when he touched the ball.
No, I mean, no. That's the biggest takeaway here. Now, I will say Arizona's got some games coming up against lesser run defenses, including a game against our Cowboys here in about a month. So make sure you get Benson.
Oh, yeah, start everybody. Yeah, start everybody.
From a dynasty perspective, going into September, he was RB39. And now that he's going to be locked in as the starting running back in Arizona for at least this year, I think probably next year as well. How are you valuing him? Are you putting him in the, RB 24, 23 range, which is, like DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne, clear starters? Or is that
right around there? Yep, right around there just because of the age. And upside, it's one game. It wasn't a good performance, but it's only one game. So, yeah, I'd put him in that area, borderline RB2 type.
Let me give you a couple other names. So right now we have RJ Harvey at RB18 on Dynasty League Football. Trey Benson's actually a year younger than RJ Harvey. Which one would you prefer?
Well, see, there's the thing. J.K. Dobbins, who I told you was going to be the starter, he's only on a 1-year deal, right? I mean, so I don't know. What's the future hold for Dobbins? I believe it's a 1-year deal. What's the future hold for Dobbins in Denver? I don't know. I really don't know. So, I mean, that's really hard to give a prediction. I mean, right now, just, in a vacuum, I'd say Benson, but I just don't have any idea what RJ Harvey will be. And if the Broncos don't trust him to be their lead back right now, what's to say they're going to trust him to be their lead back, true featured back in the future? It's a good question.
A couple other names. Travis Etienne, RB24 right now on Dynasty League Football.
Yeah, I'd rather have Etienne because it looks like now he's back to being the dude.
One other name that I wanted to mention, Jaylen Warren, who got a contract extension from the Steelers right before the season. Yep. He's been the clear-cut starter in Pittsburgh. RB28.
Rather have Benson.
I think I'd rather have Warren. He's more involved.
Warren's 26, 27, right? I mean,
26. Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's just a better player. Honestly, your first point that you made that he just didn't look special, I think that's the most concerning thing for me because he didn't look special.
It's one game against a good defense, though. I mean,
it is. But I think from what we saw last year and this year, he kind of just looks like a dude, just a little bit. I think we were hoping for more for
a Jag. You remember Justin Hunter for the Titans.
Yes,
Just a
of
guy.
course. From Tennessee. Yeah, of course.
That's right.
All right, let's talk about the Seattle side of things because their offense actually looked pretty good in this game. I want to touch on that backfield, the Kenneth Murray, Zach Charbonnet split. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's that local sports bar that is packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or for me, it's the little pizza shop that's like a mile from my house that serves pizza by the slice. They've been serving our community for decades, and these are the places that bring people together. And when neighborhood businesses thrive, the entire neighborhood thrives. Listen, I love this pizza place. It's right by my house. I can go in there. You can get a couple slices of pizza fairly cheap. The owners know you by name. They know your exact order. And it's just those little spots that you walk into. You feel like family. It feels like home. And so many of them run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. This episode is brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend, so it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you could win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered the most. So let's break it down. For this week, I'm going with Sam Darnold of the Seattle Seahawks. I thought he was fantastic on Thursday Night Football, and really he's been fantastic through the entire month of September. The Seahawks got themselves a quarterback. He's playing some of the best football of his career. This performance wasn't a fluke. Sam Darnold is officially on a streak. And just like Sam Darnold delivered for the Seahawks, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you can save on every Saturday order, stack it up all season long, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday and keep the streak alive. Feel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Tubbs, let's talk about the Seahawks backfield because in a vacuum, it wasn't bad for Kenneth Walker. 19 carries for 81 yards. He did catch one pass for 29 yards, so you're way over 100 yards from scrimmage. Didn't get in the end zone, but I thought he looked pretty good.
No, he looked great. But this is a committee now. Like, we have not seen this. I went back and looked at the first 3 games that Walker and Charbonnet played together last year. It was weeks 1, 4, and 5 because Walker missed time. In those 3 games, Walker had 135 snaps, 50 touches, and 7 red zone looks. Charbonnet had 80 snaps, 22 touches, and 0 red zone looks. Walker was the true featured back. In the first 3 games they played together this year, weeks 1, 2, and 4, Walker, 77 snaps, 47 touches, 7 red zone looks. Charbonnet, 80 snaps. That's more. 41 touches and 10 red zone looks. That's a massive increase. And that is problematic if you have Kenneth Walker. Now, it's great if you have Charbonnet, but can you trust Charbonnet to be a starter outside of the heavy bye weeks? I mean, he's got standalone flex value. There's no doubt about that. But this backfield has morphed into a headache under Clint Kubiak. I didn't think this would be the case because Kubiak typically likes to use like one running back. You know, we saw it in New Orleans with Kamara. And now it's 2 dudes. Like after the 4th game where they've played 3 together, Charbonnet has more snaps played, 6 fewer touches, and 3 more red zone looks. Last year, it wasn't even close. Walker had 55 more snaps. He played around 28 more touches, and he had all the red zone looks. This is a problem if you have Kenneth Walker.
The only thing I will say is he looked way better than Zach Charbonnet. So I do think that matters.
But Marcus, I agree. He has, though. Even in the game before Charbonnet was out, which is week 2, Walker looked better. We both know, you and I have eyeballs. We see he's a better back. It hasn't mattered. Kubiak's using Charbonnet, and he's using him in red zone situations, vulturing touchdowns away from our starter. It's not good.
Another thing I do want to point out. So Kenneth Walker had a taunting penalty at the 6:58 mark in the second quarter. Okay. He didn't get another touch in this game until like midway through the third quarter. And I wonder if it was a little bit of, I don't want to say punishment because that seems a little strong, but like, hey, you can't do that. Let's put another guy in, right? Kind of like a teaching moment. I wonder if he doesn't get that taunting call because he was running really hard up to that point.
Looked
I
great.
wonder if we see less touches for Charbonnet and more for Kenneth Walker.
I mean, I hope so. And then let's not forget, Charbonnet scored a second touchdown on the Jackson Smith and Jigba penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So it got brought back. So, I mean, Charbonnet could have had even a bigger game. You know, we would have been talking about, you know, closer to 20 points than 12. I hope you're right. But from what I've seen in the 3 games they've played together, Seattle, we have a problem, and it's a backfield committee.
We do want to touch on a couple other players. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 4 catches for 79 yards on 5 targets. They did give him
second half too.
They did give him 3 carries in this game, which was kind of fun. One of them went for 10 yards. So I have no big takeaways on JSN. He's going to be fine. He's clearly the number 1 receiver in this offense. The only other thing I wanted to mention here for Seattle was I just think Sam Darnold has looked really good through the first month of the season. For everybody that was worried about him being a product only of the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell, I mean, we're through 4 games and he's got 905 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. His QBR's inside the top 10. I just think he's playing really well.
Playing really well and being a good fantasy quarterback are 2 different things. He's a lousy fantasy quarterback now.
Correct. But he's not
good. He's not good at all in fantasy.
Which is fine. I'm with you. Like, I don't think you're valuing him as a top 20 fantasy quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think our concern was, is Sam Darnold going to turn into a pumpkin in Seattle and, you know, nuke the value of everybody in this offense?
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think that's been the case at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, you know, I'm maybe a little hyperbole that he's not been complete garbage, but he's not going to be a top 10 quarterback like he was last year. Right now, you know, he's had 2 games with more than 15 points out of the first 4. And so last year you were basically starting him every week once you got comfortable with the fact that, holy cow, I'm starting Sam Darnold every week. And now you're not. Now it's like matchup based super flex. And that's kind of what he is. So I agree with your point. And yes, he hasn't hurt anybody's value, but his value is not clearly what it was last year. And by the way, one other thing about the Seahawks, AJ Barner scored a touchdown last night. Look at Arizona's defense against tight ends in the first 4 games. They've been getting torched. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to remember moving forward.
Doesn't it feel like it's been that way for the last 2 decades?
It's funny. Remember there was like a few years ago where like literally every tight end who played against the Cardinals, like just had a huge stat line. And then they kind of corrected and it was like a 180. It was like, oh, wow, they're tough. And now it's back to being lousy against tight ends.
Yeah. Again, I just want to say with Sam Darnold, I think we were worried that he was going to be a negative value player in this offense. And while he doesn't have great dynasty value, fantasy value, I feel really good every week about starting Jackson Smith and Jigba. I feel good about starting Kenneth Walker despite some of the running back split. What we've seen from the Seahawks offense over the last 3 weeks and against, you know, the Steelers and against, Arizona, who's had a good defense, is I think this is going to be an offense that you can count on to be somewhat reliable week in and week out. And that's all we're hoping for with the addition of Darnold.
Yeah. I still can't believe you think those jerseys were good. Oh my God, they were so bad.
I love them.
Anyways.
I hope they make them their full-time jerseys.
Oh my God, no, those are horrible. They dressed up like the sand people from Star Wars. It was terrible.
I know. I loved them. All right, let's do some starts and sits for week 4. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all of the details, and Mazda brings that same attention to how they craft every single model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make your everyday drives feel like anything but, with smooth handling to incredible controls. And with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. I know where I live, you have to have all-wheel drive to get through the winters, and Mazda delivers once again, because of course they do. And like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL Podcast. 2 shows every single day. 1 in the morning with Tyler Rowland, 1 in the afternoon with Tony Wiggins, available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's do some starts and sits. Who are you starting this week in your Dynasty lineups?
Jordan Love. Why? Because he's playing the awful Dallas Cowboys, who gave up over 24 fantasy points, 450 yards to a quarterback who just got benched. Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, Caleb all put up big games against the Cowboys. The Cowboys stink. Even though, Deron Bland's coming back, I'm still starting Jordan Love.
No concern about the offensive line. Going to be without 3 starters in this game. No Jaden Reed.
No, to me, it doesn't matter. I'm throwing for 250 against the Cowboys. Okay, maybe not, but you get my point. Cam Scatterbo, baby. Right. I love it. I'm so excited to see this kid in a featured role again. 29 touches, 38 fantasy points in his last 2 games. This isn't a great matchup against the Chargers, honestly, but I'm looking at the volume because Tyrone Tracy's not going to play because he's dealing with a shoulder injury. So, and J.K. Dobbins had a good game against L.A. last week, so this isn't an impenetrable defense. So I'm starting Cam Scatterbo, baby. I absolutely love it.
Couldn't you see Scatterbo averaging 3.3 a carry in this game, but having 8 receptions underneath as Dart just tries to get rid of the ball quickly?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the value of Cam Scatterbo for the next year and a half. Is I don't know if this Giants offensive line can run block at all. Maybe having someone more athletic back at quarterback like Dart improves the run game. We've seen that happen time and time again at the quarterback position. But I just think that Scatterbo is going to be the guy underneath catching a million passes from a young quarterback.
Yeah, he's got to be in your lineup this week. No question about that. Courtland Sutton is another player that I like a lot this week. 18-plus points in 2 of his first 3 games. The Bengals have given up 11-plus points to 5 receivers, including 2 who've gone over 16. I also sneaky play Troy Franklin. Sneaky play. If you need help this week at wide receiver or flex, he also obviously has that matchup in his back pocket on Monday night. But Courtland Sutton's a very good play.
I'll also mention Marvin Mims. If you watched the game last week, Mims is open all the time. Bo Nix was atrocious last week. He was really bad. And I think both Franklin and Mims are guys that if you need a high ceiling, I think they can kind of give it to you because they're going to be targeted down the field. They both can be explosive playmakers. I think this Denver offense is one that I'm going to be monitoring as we get further into the season.
Do you remember in the preseason I had said that a sophomore slump was virtually guaranteed for either Jaden Daniels or Bo Nix, and I didn't think it would be Jaden Daniels. So far, it looks like it's going to be Bo Nix. But anyways, speaking of quarterbacks who you might want to play this week, I'm not playing Dak Prescott. I got to be honest with you. I don't see Dak Prescott being in my starting lineup anytime soon. He has scored just 12 fantasy points in 2 of 3 games. And last week it was the Bears, and I know CeeDee Lamb didn't play most of the game, so I understand. But now he's got Green Bay. Second fewest points allowed to quarterbacks. Micah Parsons is going to absolutely do everything he can to destroy the Cowboys offensive line, which is all banged up, by the way, right now, and get into Dak's face. I think he's going to have multiple sacks. He's going to have multiple pressures. This is going to be a mess. And even though Green Bay is a little bit banged up too, doesn't matter. The Cowboys stink. So Dak Prescott I want nothing to do with Dak Prescott. There are very few Cowboys that I would play in this game this week because that defense in Green Bay is very good. And I promise you, Micah Parsons is going to have every one of his teammates fired up to go out there and smoke this team. So, I know you're going to play Javonte. Matchup's not great. I know you're going to play George Pickens. Matchup is not great. Jake Ferguson's the only Cowboy I have any faith in this week. So Dak Prescott on the bench. Any disagreements from you, Marcus?
I don't know what to think about it because I in some ways, I think you're right. I think there's a chance that this gets to be really bad, where the Packers defense is just teeing off on Dak. But to be honest, they kind of did that in the playoff game a couple years ago, which everybody wants to kind of forget about. And in that game, Dak had 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now he did not
have CeeDee Lamb.
He did have CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, he did. He did not play well at all in that game, but because they got behind so early, it was just a ton of garbage time. So I could see that. But to me, Ferguson is the guy that you want in your lineups this week
Yep.
because I think Dak's going to have to get rid of the ball fast, and it's going to be 10 underneath targets to Ferguson.
Yeah.
But unless you have a clear-cut better option, I'm fine with rolling with Dak this week.
I played Jackson Dart over him. I got to be honest with you. That's where I'm at right now. The two other players that you want to fade, although you probably can't, so beware, Travis Etienne. His fantasy points have gone down in 3 straight games. He has lost touchdown opportunities to Bashal Tutin in the last 2 weeks. The Niners are giving up 3.5 yards per rush, and they've held all but one running back to fewer than 11 points in the first 3 games. So I'm a little bit concerned about Etienne. You're probably going to play him, but temper expectations. DK Metcalf, same kind of thing against the Vikings. And Marcus knows I like DK coming into the season. And he's gotten in the end zone, but, I mean, he hadn't done anything else. I mean, he's averaging 12 points a game. That's not what I was hoping for. And now he's got Minnesota. They've allowed the fewest points to perimeter receivers so far this year. They were tough against perimeter receivers last year as well. The total in this game, I think, is like 40. It's really low. So I don't know if there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. I do not like DK Metcalf over in Dublin.
Doesn't that feel like a game that's like 17-13 going into
Something like
the
that?
final
Yeah,
minute
exactly.
of the game?
Yep. Yeah.
And both of these teams, whether it's Brian Flores and his defense and Mike Tomlin and his defense, they're going to want to try to keep this game low, and keep the scoring down.
The Steelers defense though stinks so far this year, right?
But I do want people to remember this is Carson Wentz. I know that he played well against the Bengals last week. It's still Carson Wentz. Like I feel like Carson Wentz is like these quarterback. If you need him to play well for 3 quarters, he can do that. If you need him to play well for 5 games, he'll give you 3 good quarters. So that's kind of the way he is.
I mean, Justin Fields, not a great passing quarterback, had a good game against the Steelers, fantasy wise. Darnold, had 17 points against them. I don't know, man. I mean, like, I know the talent is there, but I see what I see on the field, and it's like Pittsburgh's a positive matchup for a quarterback. So I'm not saying you're going to start Carson Wentz outside of Superflex, but I am hoping and praying for Carson Wentz to succeed so I don't have to see JJ McCarthy again as a starter in Minnesota.
One more thing before we go. Jordan Addison is back this week from his suspension. And again, this is a new quarterback that he probably doesn't have much practice time with. Are you playing him this week fresh off the suspension, or you want to wait a week to see how it goes?
I have him in some leagues, and honestly, I think the only league I'm playing him in is a 14-team league. It's is it the Kings Classic? It might be the Kings Classic that you and I were involved in. I think that might be it because it's the rosters are really like big, the starting lineups, and so I might have to play him there because the benches there's nobody. Right. Other than that, I'd kind of sit back and wait and sort of see, what that rapport is. Most people will not be forced into starting Addison this week.
All right, that is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty Football your first listen every single day. Go download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are free and available on all platforms. Check us out on YouTube as well. Follow Fabs on Twitter at Michael_Fabiano. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. Enjoy week 4. We'll see you right back here on Monday.